This game preview is brought to you by Manscaped's Premium Ultra Soft Boxer Briefs 2.0, complete with the all-new jewel pouch to protect your stones. Use the promo code SACCITY for 20% off and free worldwide shipping. Manscaped, the perfect tools to protect your jewels.
It is the New Orleans Saints traveling to Carolina to take on the Carolina Panthers. The Saints are 3-point favorites in this game with an over-under of 40.5 points. Aaron, I'm a little concerned here. I'm a little concerned at what, I guess it's on the road and they're 3-point favorites. Like it's like that margin is a little bit bigger. But like, it's about 6. But like, I just see the Saints just being a 3-point favorite in this game, like just by that. And maybe it's 6 because of the logic of Vegas and all that kind of stuff. But I feel like it should be more. Are the Saints not? Are people a little bit more down on the Saints than what they should be?
No, I think that's what they are. I think people have to realize they're not as explosive as they once were. So they're not the type of team that's going to go out and just drop 35, 40 points on you like they used to be. And I think that's a big deal. But their defense is stout. And against the Carolina Panthers team that's, let's be honest, very blah offensively with Baker Mayfield at quarterback, outside of Christian McCaffrey, what else do you have? I think this line is set perfectly. It's also a division game. You got to remember that. Division game. I know it doesn't seem like these teams are rivalries, but they still play each other twice a year. They know each other really well. I expect for the Saints defense to be as dominant as they were against Tampa, dominant as they were against Atlanta late, I should say, that allowed them to come back. I think this is up there. I am a little shocked at the over-under. I think that's a little bit low. Maybe more of 44-ish would have been my number, but I'm not surprised by the line at all.
What timing that we get this news on the show while we're talking about this game. I guess I don't know if it is breaking news, but an update. Christian McCaffrey has been taken off the injury report and will play Sunday. Let's not fear about Christian McCaffrey in this game.
They put him on the injury report with ankle stiffness. Come on, guys.
That's something. That's something. But so in this game, though, we have two quarterbacks, Baker Mayfield and Jameis Winston, two former first overall picks. Wait, was Jameis a first overall pick? Yeah, he was. Yeah, I'm just trying to remember correctly. Two former first overall picks. I'm going to start with Jameis Winston. We've got a tale of two Jameses here, Aaron. We got a tale of two Jameses. In week 1, he was good. In week 2, he was bad. I feel like this is what you're going to get with Jameis Winston, right? Is this who Jameis Winston is? You're just going to get, and you have to take your lumps with his bad games and his good games. This is just who he is.
I actually don't think it's who he is. I think we saw a different Jameis Winston in 2021 before the injury, and I think that's the Jameis we really have here. I think what happened in that Tampa game was he started getting behind, because early he was fine. He started getting behind, and then he was starting to force things. That's when Jameis gets into trouble, when he tries to push the ball down the field in times when he shouldn't push the ball down the field. By the way, Chris Olave, you got to be better at trying to go get that ball. But that's beside the point. I think Jameis is okay. As crazy as it sounds, I know it's one game, but I do think Jameis will be okay going forward. The problem is they need to make sure they continue to run the football. I mentioned this last week. Mark Ingram and Dwayne Washington were running really well against Tampa, and then they stopped running the football. Hopefully you get Alvin Kamara back. They have to find ways to get him the ball. And then Jameis can find his spots when he wants to take those shots, and it's a little bit more controlled. It's less forced, and I think that'll help Jameis. Is he going to have bad games? Yes, every quarterback does. It happens. But I don't think this is a consistent, hey, he's going to have games where he's throwing 3 picks all the time. I think he's more controlled. I think he's a much better player physically and mentally than he was 3 years ago. So I'm not as concerned about Jameis Winston as I think some people are after one bad week against a really good Tampa defense. I'm just not.
Okay, fair enough. On the other side, it's Baker Mayfield, who we have been harsh on. I mean, this is what it is with Baker Mayfield. Let's talk about it now. With Baker Mayfield through 2 weeks, he has not been that great. His stats have not been that great. He has underperformed. I mean, the team around him hasn't been that great either, but Baker Mayfield also hasn't been that great ranking, very low in the NFL in terms of just about everything, except he's 19th in touchdown percentage, which I guess that's better. But 28th in yards, 32nd in QBR. And I want to bring this up because you mentioned this the other day. about how and what factors into QBR, and that being the true telling sign of where Baker Mayfield is and what he's been able to do in Carolina so far. Can you elaborate more on that and maybe tell us, talk a little bit more about Baker Mayfield and whether or not we're out on him?
Yeah, so just a QBR is a different metric. Like passer rating doesn't account for certain things, like when there's a bad offensive line play or anything like that. So the metric of QBR takes into consideration everything that a quarterback contributes to a game, including passing, rushing, sacks, penalties, turnovers. Fourth quarter, is Baker Mayfield making plays when he's supposed to? Is it a 3rd and 3 throw versus a 1st and 10 throw in the first quarter? All of those things are taken into consideration, and that's a true testament of what the quarterback brings as value. So Baker Mayfield's value right now, we talk about QBR as value really to your team. His QBR this year is 23.8. It's the lowest of his career through 2 games. I get it. But he's never been, his highest of his career was in 2020 when they went 11-5, and he was a QBR of 65.5. He threw for 3,500 yards that year, 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Baker Mayfield was a number 1 overall pick. Again, can he start in this league? Absolutely. Can he play? Yes. This is about being a number 1 overall pick who is supposed to be your franchise quarterback. But he has to have everything perfect around him. You can't be that guy if everything around you has to be perfect. Because we ask Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, we ask all of those guys to make up for deficiencies. Baker Mayfield can't do that. So when Carolina can't run the football, Baker Mayfield, we're asking you to make up for that. He can't do it. When Carolina's defense is playing bad, we ask Baker Mayfield, we need more points. He can't do it. Everything has to be perfect around Baker Mayfield in order for him to be successful. And the one perfect year around him was an excellent running game, a great defense, was in 2020. They went 11-5, won a playoff game, and almost beat the Chiefs. And that's as far as he's got, because that's when everything was perfect around him. And right now it's not. And that's why Baker Mayfield is judged so harshly. Again, if you want to compare him to the other bottom 10 quarterbacks in the league, sure, he's better than those guys. But who cares? That's not what we want from Baker Mayfield. You were being judged to be the first-round draft pick that you were, and he's not lived up to that billing. And again, very similarly to Carson Wentz or Daniel Jones, we're going to hold these standards because you were invested in. You are not living up to that investment. So I'm going to judge you based on that.
So I guess since Carson Wentz, it's been following Carson Wentz everywhere, no matter what team he's been on, that the investment is still there. I just wondering when does that conversation just die? Like, when do we just stop thinking about, okay, now this is just what he is, and like that, like it's
when we stop talking about him every time they go to a new team. That's really what it is. When a quarterback goes to a new team, like for instance, Carson Wentz, when they talked about him in Philly, MVP candidate, he goes to the Colts. What's the first thing everybody says? Oh, perfect fit. He's gonna resurrect his career. And then it's like, it didn't work out with the Colts. Then it's Washington. Then you hear even the team itself, oh, this is perfect. He's gonna come in, he's gonna resurrect. Like when that move is made, and I'm not saying you can't mention it, but when it's not a big deal. When it's like, oh, this guy was signed by the Washington Commanders, he's going to compete for a job. Cool, because that's what they're doing. They're competing for a job still. And Baker Mayfield, the whole offseason was, where is he going to go? Where is he going to end up? Seattle. Like there's too much. When there's that much noise around you, that means you still have some clout. The reason you have that clout is because you were the number 1 overall pick. And so we do give chances. But let me ask you this question. How quickly did the Josh Rosen talk die? And he was a top pick. How quick did it die? Let me ask you this question now. If Sam Darnold goes to a new team next year, which he will, do you think it's going to be a big deal?
No.
They'll mention it, but it's not going to be a big deal anymore because I think people are already there with that. So that's what I mean. Like you'll mention it, it'll be something, and you'll move on. That's all.
That's fair. That's fair. I get that. In this game, I do have the Saints in winning this one. I'll go Saints 28, Panthers 17.
I have 27-20 New Orleans.
AJ has 19-13 Saints.
Looking for, I swear, Dylan took the Panthers.
Okay. It's hard to like when they send in that list like that. It's like hard to like
I
go
don't know why
through
they.
and
I
scout.
don't know why they just can't put it. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. It's like we don't have docs or something. Okay.
You would think we didn't have a doc or something.
Yeah. So okay.